Okay, guys, welcome. This is Green Screen Ideas, taking the next step to create exciting videos and images. Now, you see a link on your screen right now. It's a s'more. This I would definitely write down. This URL is going to get you to the s'more that we are going to be looking at today. It has all of my resources. So instead of doing a PowerPoint or a slideshow or a Google Slides or anything like that, what I'm doing today is I'm using a website called S'more that does digital newsletters. And I will say that this is one of those features that I actually do pay for. I do keep a subscription to S'more because I use this to send out newsletters to teachers. I use it to send things to students. I also use it with the fire department and send out things to the community as well, or advertisements about events are all done this way. And so there's lots of neat things you can do with this. So make sure you write that URL down. And I will put it in the chat window also. In addition, I am also going to be putting in, I just put in the URL for our sign in. So I'm going to go in and give you that. So if you will go ahead and sign in for me. And the URL for our s'more I just dropped in our chat window as well. So I'm going to move down. Don't forget to sign in. This is how I do my certificates. This is how I send out and remind you that the videos are up on the website. So if you'll quickly sign in for me, like I said, that is in the chat window. While you're doing that, I'm going to jump down and introduce myself for those that are new. There we go. My name is Brene Duggins. I am Mrs. D, as people know me now. I am the media coordinator at Oak Grove High School in Central North Carolina. We are right almost in the center of the state, just below Winston-Salem and Greensboro. I'm also the fire prevention coordinator at Holly Grove Fire Department. And what's really cool about what I do is, I've been in education for, this is my 18th year in the public school system. And this is going on year 19 in the fire department. And about 8 years ago, I realized that what I do with my teachers, sharing tools, sharing resources, works for guys in the fire department as well. So the past couple years, not only have I been sharing tools with my teachers in my school, but I've also been doing that with fire and life safety educators in my own state. And due to COVID, it kind of branched out into Mrs. D's virtual PD that y'all are joining us for today. And so I have been able to branch out and not only work with fire and life safety educators across the country, but also educators across the country, which has been really cool to talk to people in schools all across the country. So my email address and my website are going to be at the bottom of the s'more link that I gave you. Again, it is in the chat window. If you just joined us, I'm going to drop it in the chat one more time. And I'm also going to add the sign in. So if you just joined us late, the sign in is also in the chat window. So the s'more is the link to our handouts, and that tiny URL is our sign in sheet. So we're going to go in and get started. So like I said, we are talking about green screen ideas today. If you were with us last week, we talked about how do you get started, the basics, how do you start with green screens on a budget? We even talked about dollar store tablecloths. And I will say there are times working on projects, I still use dollar store tablecloths. So if you missed last week, I have the links in the slideshow or the s'more for the session slides and the session recording. So if you missed last week, they are also in there. Now, so what are we going to be talking about today? Well, this right here. We are going to be taking someone standing in front of that green background. We're going to pick a topic, pick an idea, pick a background, and we're going to put them together. And that's what's really cool about the green screen is that you can put people anywhere. And when I say anywhere is if you can take a picture or if you can find that image or that video, you can put them there. And so there are so many different opportunities for messages, for excitement, for educational lessons by picking a different background and putting people there. So couple of things. We're going to start off by talking about ideas for the classroom and virtual lessons. We're going to be hands-on in just a little bit, and you're going to get to see some of this as well. But we want to talk about what can we do? So some ideas. You could use the green screen while you're teaching a lesson. Put a background that fits the topic. You know, if you are talking, and I was talking to math teachers earlier today. If you're doing math, then you could have things with math topics or the graphs behind you. And then just like the weatherman, you could be talking about the points that are on the background. So you've got a lot of options there. If you're talking about history and you're talking about a location, then you could put that in the background. And we're going to do that in a few minutes. I have a picture of Appomattox Courthouse, and we're going to be able, if we're studying U.S. history and the Civil War, we could have that in the background when we're talking about specific battles or specific events. You can film an introduction to a lesson. So you could use the green screen to just do the intro. Say that you're going to be, you know, we could be even at a fire department and we're getting ready to do an interview with some of our guys, or we're going to do a video of them performing a specific task. Well, you could do a video with the green screen to kind of do the intro to the lesson and make it get exciting and fun. You could make a music video. If any of you have ever seen Blaise Harris and some of his videos, he does a lot of educational topics with the music, and there are some for all subject areas. And you could do that too. You can put what you want in the background. It could be anything, and then you could record yourself singing or acting it out or even lip syncing to it. You could use a diagram behind you to discuss and point out pieces. Think about agriculture and looking at parts of particular animals, or even in health science and looking at the body systems. You could have those pictures behind, and you or a student could be in front of it, pointing out the different pieces. So it makes it very easy, just something a little bit different. And that's what's really cool about the green screen, is sometimes it's not really different information. It's just presenting it in a different way. And sometimes that makes it fun. You could have students create their own videos, and you're going to get to see examples of that in just a little bit. I'm going to show you some that our students have created. You get to create the sense you are somewhere else, and literally it could be anywhere you want. You're going to see in just a few minutes, once I turn my camera on, where I am at. And, you know, it could be fun. It's like, okay, today we're going on a virtual field trip and we're going to go to a surprise location. And you could talk to the students about and have little pieces of the background that you show them at first for them to try to guess where you're going. And then it could be that you're doing like a Zoom interview with someone. We used to call them mystery Skypes. And even you can do the same thing in Zoom, where you have a guest speaker that may not be able to be there face to face, but you can talk to your audience. Well, we can use the background with the green screen to kind of set that up and have them guess at that. You could make it look like a newscast, and this is kind of fun whenever you get to play it up a little bit. There's some really cool features with the app that I use that allows me to layer images. So I can have a picture within a picture. So imagine me having that generic newscast background, but then I could have a picture inside of that, looks above my shoulder, that is talking about the topic that we're talking about today. And you could have the video start there and then zoom out. We could use it to set up interviews. I have had students that did this where they were doing a project and they were going to interview, they were pretending to be someone in history. And they had it set up like an interview, like they were on Oprah with the couches and everything. Well, the background is what they picked the couches to be, and it could be in whatever setting they wanted. And then, so they used the green screens and they sat on the green screen, and it made it look like they were actually sitting on Oprah's couch, like on the stage and everything. So it could be kind of fun. It's exciting. It changes it up a little bit. Students or teachers could talk through math problems. You post a picture, and it can even be a handwritten picture behind you in the background, and then you talk through, well, this is why I did what I did, and this is how I came up with the answer. So it changes up a way for them to express their thoughts or their thought process. They can act out a scene from a book, a story, or an event in history. Think about it, even with the fire department, we have things to make where we want students to be able to demonstrate something to us. Well, we could set up a background and they pretend like crawling low under smoke. Your image in the background could have that picture of the smoke or even a video of that room with smoke, and the kids act it out. So when they see the video, it looks like they're really crawling low under smoke, which is really cool, sets them in a place in a low risk environment, but is teaching them an action or a skill that is could be used in a high risk situation in reality. Kimmy asked in the chat, is there a way to make it a live background behind you? Yes, it's a couple more steps in the process, but we can talk about ways that you can do that. So you'd be doing some app smashing. So you would be using it in conjunction with another program to make it do that, but there are ways you can do that. Let's see, where are we? Describe the setting for a story or event and have the setting as the background. You're going to see some examples in a little bit where in theater arts, the students drew sets. So they sketched the set based on what they heard or what they read, and they made the set look like what in their minds they saw. And we scanned those and put those as the background. And then the students were using the green screen to be in their own set they drew and talked about what was around. So it could be hand drawn. It could be something they sketched in art. It could even be that their own artwork that they drew and they're talking and critiquing their own art. Or it could be set up even like an art gallery where they're walking through the art gallery and they're seeing everybody's art. The thing is that you can be creative. There are so many opportunities with the green screens. So that's when you're doing like a lesson or in the classroom. And so there, like I said, there are so many different ways to do it. You can also use it for marketing and promotion. And the thing here is engaging, exciting, get their attention. Sometimes what we can do is create a background that matches the event theme. And you're going to see one of those in just a little bit. What we use, I've done things for prom, for weddings. Kimmy's on here. I actually did use the green screen at her wedding. We've done Safety Fest in Thomasville, even our own open houses at the fire department. Valentine's events at school, homecoming. We're getting ready to have homecoming at school. And we've had the theme in the background. And then when we take the still photo, it has that information on it, dates, like what the event theme is. You can also create overlays with the date or title. And one thing that I use is cooltext.com. And what that does is it gives us all these different fonts, but they have a transparent background so that when we use it in the layering with the app, it actually is in front of the people. So it puts it in the foreground. So if it's over their legs or up above their heads, it may seem like it's just in front of them. Have props, be fun or match the theme. I'm going to switch over really fast so that you can kind of see. I'm going to jump here. So when I say fun props, I mean like fun props. Like I love hats and like mouths and name things. And I mean, like we have all kinds of props that we use. There's even fun ones. I have them by themes and holidays. Oh, this one's one of my faves. Oh, I can't get it open. There we go. So, I mean, like who knew that like a squid hat could be, be fun, but I could teach class in a squid hat and kids are going to be like, she's nuts, but I'm going to keep watching. It's like sometimes that train wreck, you just can't look away. Well, by doing something fun, it gets their attention. And so that's one of those, be fun, have fun. When I've done events, having the props is fun for people. And even the adults get really into the props. They start looking through the table. I'll have a table off to the side where they can pick props before they take their photo. And sometimes having the big glasses on or the fun hat instead of just standing in front of the green screen to take a photo, they're willing to do it if they can almost be like incognito. So it makes it fun. Let's see. So have characters. You're going to see in just a little bit. If your school has a mascot and you're doing it for promotion or a marketing thing, have the mascot out. We've had Sparky out for events. You could have Smokey. You could have Buckle Bear. You could have whoever. There are a number of agencies across the state and the country that have their own mascots. Schools, a ton of schools have their mascots, especially they bring out for events. Have the mascot there if possible. You can use it as a photo op. The cool thing is number one, it gets your message out. Number two, it gets your name out. And they're going to walk away with something that they can tie back to you. And it could be that, it doesn't have to cost you anything. That's what's really cool about this is I can email these photos. Or if you want to use it like a fundraiser, then they could do the photo and then they pay a certain amount, like $2. And, it may cost you 9 cents to print a 4x6. And then the rest of that goes back to your agency. Or you're donating it to a specific cause. So there's awesome opportunities there. And it can be fun. People get excited. They have fun. And you will have groups that are like, can I come back and get another photo? And they'll bring more people. So that word of mouth, whenever they're able to have fun with it. And so you'll see lots of people come back in different configurations to get pictures. So I'm going to show you some examples of student created projects. So I have a couple of these on here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you'll be able to come back and look at this. The first one, I'm hoping if y'all do not see sound, if you'll let me know in the chat. Give it just a second. There we go. Oh, give it just a second for it to load. I'm hoping that it'll load up for us so you can watch. You may have to click these on your own. It may not let us do it. Oh, here we go.
Do you ever have awful days? Not want to wake up in the morning? Look out the window and it's still dark? Need more sleep? Well, do we have a product for you? The Wonder Waker! This alarm clock is like no other. When it's time to wake up, the Wonder Waker will wake with a wham. There's no way you can oversleep with this bad boy. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. It has been said that people who wake up earlier are more likely to be more productive and in control, along with being urged to meet their goals. The Wonder Waker is now $59.99, but don't wait, because if you order in the next 2 minutes, you can get another clock for free. A $120 offer for only $59.99.
Hi, I'm Mr. Peters, and I've been using the Wonder Waker alarm clock for quite some time now with my killer 5 a.m. schedule. I've never woken up so refreshed. I definitely approve this product.
So
do you ever have awful days? No.
So this one, the students were doing it for English. And if you notice, there was a student in bed. They found the image. So they had a background image. They had an image of a bed. And then we laid the green screen over some stools that are here in the media center. And they brought the blanket to put over the person laying in the bed to make it look like they were actually laying inside the bed that's actually just a picture on the screen. And so they went through and created these. These were commercials for products that they were creating. So that one was one where the students created their own, like they found their backgrounds and put it in. This one right here, and I'm hoping this one will come up too. It may take it just a second. This one is one of those where the student drew the background. We scanned it, and then the students talked about what they drew and about the setting. And so this is one of those where it doesn't have to be they went out to the internet and found a picture, or they didn't have to take their own photo. This was their own hand-drawn item that they put in, which is pretty cool. I'm hoping this one will pop up so y'all can see. There we go.
This is my scene. Here's Miss Patty's easel, and you see the.
And so if you notice, she is like pointing. When we filmed this, we actually turned the iPad around and are filming towards her so she can see the screen, so she knows where she's pointing on the screen, very much like a weather person does. So this is her own drawing that she is standing in
The
early.
dartboard is on this side, and that's where they.
So the cool thing is like I said, you can do anything that you would like with this. And so I've given you a couple other examples. I will probably actually go in and drop a couple more and a link to some that you can see so you can get some more ideas. But anything that you can imagine, and I tell this to students all the time, anything you can imagine, we can probably figure out a way to do. There's one where students wanted their product was a strength product, and they wanted to be able to stand and hold their hand up and have another person standing on their hands. And because of the layering, we were able to do that. We had another student standing in their hands. And so you can come up with all kinds of things. We had one where they wanted a car to fly through the air. And, we're on a green screen. So if we are holding up the car with something green, it will disappear. So they learned that green straws from Starbucks are amazing. I have a stash of those. And or green gloves. They could wear green gloves and they will disappear just like the green shirts will. So there's all kinds of neat ideas. These are some examples from events. We have our Dawn of the Grizzlies, which was like our first year open, was an event that we had. We didn't have homecoming until this year. We haven't had seniors at my high school until this year. So we've had our Dawn of the Grizzlies. There's Grizzly Fest. There's one from Safety Fest. And if you notice in the background is one of the NFPA banners. And so the entire image for the NFPA logo for that banner for the Fire Prevention Week that year was in the background. So all of their trademarks, all of their logos, everything are all there. We have some for fun that they wanted to be scared by a dinosaur. So the teachers were standing in front, and then one kid decided he wanted to ride the dinosaur. And this, if you notice, it looks like he is sitting on it. Well, he is sitting on a chair with the green screen, like the chair is covered in front of the green screen. And then we were able to move him to make it look like he was on there. This one's from prom. This is actually my son, my oldest, one of his proms. I think that was his junior year. And so this is what I was talking about, that fun font. It was a beach theme or like a tropical theme. So students had the surfboards and they acted like they were surfing on some of them. A couple of these two on the outsides are actually from the Fire and Life Safety Conference in Concord for North Carolina a couple years ago. And we were having fun and they would come over and the guys would pick a background. They went through and they found all kinds of crazy backgrounds. And I'm not quite sure the story of the sheep, but they had sheep. And if you notice, fun props. Here's some more. They wanted to be rock stars. And so they're wearing all the fun hats and the music equipment, the blow ups. I mean, go to the dollar store and find props. There are so many. That's where I find most of mine. And even this was one we did for fundraisers. We did one where it was photos for Valentine's Day. And so this is actually my daughter a couple years ago when we did that. We did this with students where it was $2 a picture, and then they did the pictures. They could either get a copy for themselves. They could get as many pictures as they wanted. So if it was $2 per picture. And then if they wanted it sent to someone, then what they did is they told us who to have it sent to at school. Well, this with my daughter, we turned these into her Valentine cards for school. We cut the photo along the neck of the guitar and put a lollipop in. And so that was hers. And we did it on the green screen. So this is a blow up prop of a jukebox, and the background we put in ourselves. So there's lots of things you can do. You could make trading cards. I've seen departments make trading cards or schools make trading cards. You can pick the backgrounds of your trading cards. Even the banners that you might do for athletics, you could drop in students. So there's all kinds of different things. So some things as we go through, and I'm getting ready to show, I'm going to go through a couple more things and then we're going to jump over so that you can see kind of on the app how things work. Practice makes your projects run smoother. And when I say practice, I tell even times when I teach instructor classes or fire and life safety educator classes, practice, practice, practice. That is huge. The more you practice it, the smoother it's going to get. A couple things to practice. One is practice the process of getting the background to the device you're going to use. I am on an iPad, or I'll be on an iPad when I'm doing the green screen. A lot of times I will find my backgrounds on my laptop. Well, the plus for me is that I keep Google Drive on both. So I have the Google Drive app. So if I find something on my laptop, I will drop it into Google Drive. And from there, I can go over to my iPad, open up Google Drive, and then I can download it and save it to my photos. Another thing that really, really helps when you're going to be filming yourself or filming with others, storyboard or plan out your shots. That's huge. Write out what you're going to do. If you're going to have different backgrounds, plan out what you're going to do with each background. Know what your script's going to be. And practice it. And I'm like, seriously, in parenthesis, it says seriously, practice it. I'm serious. What's really cool is there are so many teleprompter apps out there, and there are some that are completely free. I've had students write their script on poster boards and have it close to the camera, so it makes it look like they're looking in the camera. The worst thing that I can say is the days that you sit there and you have it on a note card in front of you. Don't do that. You know, the cool thing about this is you can film in clips. So if you learn bits and pieces of your script and you film it in pieces and put it together, that's totally fine. Use a teleprompter or practice your script until you know it and you have it memorized. It will look more natural the more you practice it. So learn your script. And then double check your background to make sure it isn't blurry. Last week, we talked about some places that you can go to find high resolution images. And even today, I was grabbing 2 photos to use for the session today. And I use Pixabay. And you can get high resolution photos using Pixabay. And they're completely free and they're copyright friendly, meaning you do not have to attribute the photo. That is, whenever you upload to that, you are giving, if it's a photo you've taken, you're giving those rights over. It does give you if you want to still attribute the photo to a person, it will tell you what to put on there. So it gives you the citation. But check to make sure it's not blurry, because you don't want to send that out to your students or to the public with a background that's blurry. You want it to be crisp and clear. Some other things that really help when you're doing events is come up with ways to document your images. Figure out how you're going to track the photo and who's in it, especially if you're going to be emailing those back out. Be it students at a school event, and sometimes I'll go on and tell you at proms, sometimes I took 150 photos or more. So that's a lot of pictures. How are you going to document it? Know if you're going to email the images, if you're going to airdrop images. The cool thing is if somebody has an iPhone and you're on an iPad, you could airdrop even if you don't have a cell signal. Are you going to print them? Are you going to post them on a website that they could download? Are you going to put them in a Google Drive that people can access? Think about how you're going to share those images with the public or with your students. Think about what contact info you're going to need. Do you need a phone number, an email address, and like an email or actual physical address if you're going to mail it to them? You know, make sure you have all of that from the get-go. So I've got 2 examples here, and I'm gonna see if I can show y'all if they'll open up correctly for us. The first one is just a basic form that I've used in the past. This is one that I used with the green screen for prom. I just literally had their name, their school email address. The pick number and the notes were for me. So the students, I got their name and email address and just got the beginning of it because all the endings are the same. And then I tried to keep track of numbers. So if there were a group that had 3 photos, that I made sure I jotted that down beside theirs. And then for me, I tried to jot down things that would help me point out those students. If there was red dresses, or there was somebody that wore this type of hat, or there were 5 guys, I would jot those things down so that when I was going back through the photos, if something got off, then I would have a way to point out which photo went with which school email and stuff. So that was one way. That was at the very beginning. The last prom that I did, and this is what I actually do for weddings and stuff too, and for public events like Safety Fest and stuff now, is I actually have people fill out a card for me now. And this is one, and this varies from event to event, but I have them write down their name and their email, how many people are in the photo. And if I have photo option back, like the background options, I actually have them circle which background or put an X through which background they want. And if they are going to do different group photos, I have them fill out another form. So if there's 3 people in this photo and 5 people in this photo, I have them do multiple forms. And then I keep those forms in order, and I write on them how many people, or like what photo number it is. So that helps me keep track as well. And I even say on here, you know, don't forget, you can come back as many times as you want. For this particular prom, which was our school's very first and only prom so far, I had a couple that came and had every background. So they had 5 different backgrounds. It was the cutest little thing. They would come back about every 30 minutes and they would get a new photo. So just figure out what works best for you. It could even be a Google form that they fill out and you have it in a spreadsheet. So there's lots of options now. And then down at the bottom, I have some links for you. It gives you some ideas, some even more ideas of things you can do, projects. So the first one has like 10 green screen projects, 25 green screen fun. There's another one that has like different ideas and tips. What can you do in the classroom? What's possible with green screens? And then one about using it in an online classroom. So there's lots of options here. So there's lots of links and videos and stuff for you in the s'more. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to switch screens, and we are going to, and if you notice, I just split screens. We are going to look at the iPad and me in front of it so that you can see both. So if you notice right now, if you're looking on the iPad, I'm going to put my finger over here so you can see. Yep. The background. So we are, the green screen behind me is where my camera is pointed. And so if you notice, I've got a background that has like that waterway. Come up this way, that way you'll be able to, I have to have somebody else come up because my screen will go dead if I'm not over here touching it. And so on the screen, and I'm going to try to zoom down just a little bit, right here, let me get my fingers up here. There's 3 layers on the app, and the top layer right now, I don't have anything on there. So that is like your foreground. The middle layer where you see that orange camera, that is where the video is. And then the background is the very bottom one. So that's what you see behind me. So whenever I step back here, that's where I'm at. And what's really cool is if she takes her fingers, touch me on the screen, like put your finger on me, and then she lifts. Oh, I'm gonna make sure, hold on a minute. Let me make sure that she's highlighted. Yep. So if she touches me on the screen, she can lift and move me around. Oh, are you not, is it not doing it? There we go. So if I want to be a little bit further back, she's gonna pick people. The cool thing is that's how, if you saw the photo with the kids sitting on the T-Rex, that's what we did, is we covered the chair and then we put him on the T-Rex. So for example, we have a wall and I just moved the chair. Oops. But we're good so far. I use a very large green screen. So if I'm covering this and I want to pretend that I'm flying, you're gonna have to tilt the camera just a hair. Hold on. Actually, if you zoom, you'll zoom me a little bit smaller. Or like if I pretend like I'm floating, let's see if I'm falling. So if you see me, lift me up in the air. There we go. Whee! It looks like I'm floating because I'm sitting on the green. Does that make sense? So then you've got the option to do all kinds of stuff. It all just that's where those dollar store tablecloths come into play. I have a very large green screen. It's, if you notice, here we go. If I just want to be ahead, I just put it in front of me. Does that make sense? So I can disappear. Now, if you notice, you can see the wrinkles. That's where the lighting comes into play. You want to make sure that you straighten it out, cover up, work on those. The dollar store tablecloths are amazing if you want to do special effects. Have your green in the background, use your tablecloth to cover things. There's this fun photo that we had from one of the conferences where somebody's like, ooh, I want to be on the boat from Jaws, and Jaws is attacking. So literally, Jeff Bostian is standing in front of the green screen. He's holding the green screen in his thumbs. So it makes it look like he's standing on the back of the boat, and he's got this scared face because in the photo, Jaws is about to bite the back of the boat where he's standing. And so it makes it look like he's right there. There's an example in the s'more for booster pants. I know it sounds really crazy, but it was an invention that these guys came up with about, you know, you go to a movie theater and you end up sitting, somebody sits in front of you and you can't see. Well, they were like, we want to make it look like we're sitting back a couple rows. And we were like, what? So we literally, they're sitting with their lap covered in green so that we could hide them in the image a couple rows back. So you've got all kinds of cool options that you can do. You can, like I said, you can layer things. Now here I'm at the beach. We were talking about other places. Move my chair out. If I go into my app and I want to change out, I'm going to delete out really fast, and we're going to go back to photos. And let's say we're doing history and we're talking about Civil War and Appomattox Courthouse. Well, I have an image and now I could be in the photo and we could be talking about the location, what happened here, what's important about that time in history, or that location, or the events that happened there. If you're doing one at your fire department, you could have pictures of your specific trucks behind you and then do your videos. And imagine a number of people are doing those interactive classrooms like the Bitmoji classrooms. Well, what's really cool is that you could have the Bitmoji classroom as the background. You could be in it as the instructional video talking about, well, if you click here, this is what happens. If you click here, join us and watch this instructional video. If you click here, here's where the games are. So you could put that in the background. So when they press it, your video with your background that they're going to play with or interact with will be what they're talking about or what they see. So there's lots of options. Do y'all have any questions so far? I know I've talked about a whole bunch of stuff. Y'all are quiet today. I don't want to throw too much at you. But if you have questions, this is kind of how it rolls. And if you have a question, you can throw it in the chat window as we're going. With the app, what's really cool is, like I said, you can layer things. We were talking about like the newscast, and I kind of showed that the other day. If I go back, I'm going to go grab that beach photo a second. And I have it in the foreground now. So it's up in the corner. So if this was a background like the newscast, then I could have that playing. Now, what's really cool is these are both still photos. You can put a video, a movie file in the backgrounds. So you can layer them. All three layers could be videos. We were talking a minute ago about the Crawl Low Under Smoke. If you're going to have kids act that out and make like the little video, you could have a house or a bedroom background. You could have the video of the kids, and then you could have an overlay that's transparent that looks like smoke rolling. It could be a video. And so you could have that video of the smoke that kind of covers where the kids are and the background. And so you could make it look like it's smoky without it actually being smoky. So it's a neat effect that could be played. We've also added explosions in some of the videos. So the overlay was a video of an explosion. One kid's description was, I want an explosion like the Death Star. And so that's what we found, one that was on a website that was one that was open source that we could use. And so we added that in. So there's all kinds of options like that. Okay, I'm going to switch back to our s'more. Like I said, with the s'more, it has lots of links for you. There's lots of information of ideas that you can use. I'm also in the chat window going to put the sign in one more time, because if anybody jumped in a little bit late, make sure you please sign in. I'm also dropping the s'more. If you joined late and did not get the link to the slides, I'm going to jump back up to the very top as well where those are. There we go. Our sign in and our s'more are right there.